Now, when we're looking at angles in between stuff, I'm going to just move this a little bit so that there isn't so much overlap, a little easier to see. When I'm looking at angles in between things, I can measure some angles. So the way that I would use Geogebra to measure an angle is I would need to put in a point. So I'm going to measure this angle here between L and M. And then I'm going to measure this angle between L and M going the other way. But either way, I need a point where they intersect. And so that's going to be enough to give me one of the angles. And I'm going to need another point down here so that I can use the other angle. So somewhere down here, there's a tool that says, okay, here we go, measure angle. So I'm going to measure an angle. Now, Geogebra uses the algebraic trigonometry calculus way of doing angles. So it has angles that are positive and angles that are negative and angles that go up through 360. So if I want this angle here, I want to click these points in the counterclockwise direction. So I'm going to do both directions so you can see what happens. So if I go counterclockwise, it's KJH. That's the angle. And if I go clockwise, HJK, you notice it's going to say, oh, I didn't think you wanted clockwise. I thought you wanted counterclockwise. And going counterclockwise, it's 215 degrees. So that's how you get an angle. You make sure that you have 3 points that are where you want them. And then you click this measure angle tool and you click them in order. So I'm going to do H, J, G, H, J, G. So that's how you measure an angle with Geogebra. If I go up to my basic tools, I can move these angles around a little bit so that they don't intersect each other. Now, of course, when I move this so that those don't intersect anymore, then that angle doesn't show up anymore. And if I want to see the angle on the screen, I've got to have it somewhere on my screen for me to see the angle. If you go over into the algebraic, it will also list those angle measurements. And so you'll see, as I make this further and further, you can see what's happening that's way off the screen. Okay, so that is Geogebra for reflections. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get a rotation with Geogebra. One thing that's kind of nice, kind of interesting to do, is to have these both on the same screen at the same time. So I'm actually going to zoom out just a little bit to give myself some more room. I'm going to move my original shape out of the way a little bit so that it's not being, so I'm just not seeing everything together very much. You notice how my angles went weird? That's because I have things, I moved that so that it was away, so that point H wasn't in the right spot anymore. All right. Whatever. Okay, so now I'm going to do a rotation. And I'm going to rotate this original shape around a point. So that means, going back over to my geometry tools, I need a point to rotate around. There's my point. And I want it to rotate through an angle. Now there's a lot of different ways to tell an angle. And I really don't have a best way to tell an angle. So I'm going to give you one way that I kind of like. But you may, if you dug into Geogebra, you would find different ways to do this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to draw an angle. And when you use that measure angle tool, you don't already have to have the points. You can make them as you go. So I'm just going to make them as I go. Point, point, point. There's an angle. And so if I go back up to my move tools, I can just move around, and I can get pretty much any angle I want. And that is confusing, having that many decimal places. I bet I could fix that if I knew what I was doing. All right, I'm going to cut this out if it doesn't work. Settings. More settings. Rounding, 13 decimal places. Oh, please no. Let's go with 2 or 3 decimal places. Let's go with 2 decimal places for now. Surely that's enough for us. Okay. So here we go. There's my angle. And I need to move things around enough so that you can see what it's named the angle. So it's named the angle here. That looks like a Y. I'm pretty sure that's actually the Greek letter gamma. But this is what I'm going to do. So here's my center reflection point. Sorry, center rotation point. I am going to rename that. I'm just going to caption it center. That will help me out a little bit. Okay, now I need to do a rotation. So I'm down here where I found the reflection. Under transforms, here I'm going to rotate around a point. I'm going to read what it tells me to do. Select the object to rotate. That's this. And the center, hello, don't go away, and the center point, and then enter the angle. So I have to click here, and then click on the center point. And now the angle is a little tricky because I want it to use that same angle gamma that it had before. Why is that not allowing me? What if I type gamma? Nope. I don't like that. Oh, I got away. See this here? My angle, I'm going to right click on that angle. Settings. And I'm going to say that I want to change its name to something that's easy to type in. I'm going to call it lowercase a. I don't think I've used lowercase a for anything else so far. All right, there we go. It's going to be called a, lowercase a. All right, let's see if this works now. Rotate around point. Object, center. I'm going to type in angle A. Yay! Check this out. Here, I'm going to hide that for a minute. I'm going to move everything over. Oh, oops. Have I got the move tool? Move tool. Okay, close up. If I take O, that changes that rotation angle, check that out. It will go, I can change it to any angle I want just by rotating that. Isn't that cool? And I can change the center by moving the center around. Oh, so cool. All right, so one thing that you're going to have is you're going to have a something that comes out of reflecting twice, and you're going to get a rotation. So here in particular, you got some sort of a rotation. And so you could take this one, let's change its color to be something interesting. How about green? That'll be my color for the rotation. And I want to try and make that line up with that angle right, that red one right there, because it looks like a rotation. It's rotated to about that angle there. And then I'm going to move this around, and I got to try and move it until it matches up with that there. And then I can fiddle with the angle a little bit more to see if it matches. Okay? That's the sort of thing that you're doing.